Alright, we're going to be doing part 2 of metagame discussion for the beginning of the month, which means it is time to talk about those going second decks. And, well, those going second decks, they're doing stuff. Amazingly. I actually like how the metagame shifts by the month, actually, for kind of what's going on. So, remember, if you guys want a part 3, I still want to talk about Netcross, Pendulum Magician, for the month, so we'll probably cover those on part 3 later in the week. But let's dig into going second in today's metagame, shall we? Alright, Cyber Dragons are already being anticipated to be one of the hottest decks coming out of Dual Power, actually, and it's one of the most anticipated going second decks to return to the current format. I actually don't know when the last time I actually saw Cyber Dragons do something was. I actually thought that the deck, for the most part, was just quiet. You know, like Summon Sorceress and the combos that the deck had were there, but we definitely saw in the OCG that Naxter, I'm calling him fucking Nebster at this fucking point. Nebby definitely brings the fucking deck back together. The fact that fucking this guy actually, once again, becomes Cyber Dragon while in the graveyard, which is really standard. You get to discard another monster as well, so summon from your hand, which is actually something that the deck also fucking needed. The fact that you can discard a monster and then you have your machine dupe target on the field is really fucking cool. And then, I mean, he's also he'll junk Synchron to revive a Cyber Dragon from the graveyard, which, I mean, okay, cool. So if I have I want to put this on the field, make Zeger after I do all my shenanigans, you actually can do that. Like, this is really good, honestly, for what this deck needs. Okay, so general Cyber Dragon things, you're an OTK deck, you go second, you slurp up extra deck monsters. I mean, it's about as much as the deck actually does in today's format. That's not a bad thing, but, you know, you have to be able to OTK. I mean, board presence has never been bigger at this point in time, but I mean, it's not like the deck doesn't really care about the metagame. It wants to win its dice roll, it wants to go second, it wants to do its thing. Alright, congratulations. We did it. You know, it's like I'm a Cyber Dragon player or something. But if you don't go second, you're not going to have the best time in the world. But I heard if you open up Machine Dupe and a level or a monster that's got 500 attack or less, you are good to go. So, congratulations, Cyber Dragon. You get to come back to the dinner table. We're anticipating this deck to be pretty decent. I expect it to get some regional wins, actually. Now, next up is Guard Dragon Crusadia. This deck disappeared. Alright, like, if you find Guard Dragon Crusadia in somebody's binder, it's probably because they're sick of the deck. Alright, I'm gonna be honest with you. This deck had so much power at the beginning of the format, and it was really cool getting the chance to see the build a board concept unload and do things that the deck could do. Like, just you build that board, you go. But I think as the format started to shift, we started to realize that the deck was a little bit more inconsistent than it actually was. But that doesn't mean that the deck isn't still good. You know, as per the point of these videos, we want you to be aware of what you could face at a regional, as your goal is to top 32 and get your national invite. That way you can go play at the WCQ level. There are many players out there that don't get the chance to do that. So, at least talking about these decks, you can do so. But Guard Dragon Crusadia, I think, can be consistent enough. I still think the deck can be consistent enough to top a regional. But that consistency, you have to win those dice rolls. You have to pretty much be uninterrupted. You know, if your opponent interrupts your column mover, you know, you're gonna have a fucking shit time, my boy. Like, it's not even going to be fun. Like, I actually just think, much like my body pillow is trying to escape reality here, I do think that for the most part, honestly, deck's still very good. Deck can still do something on a regional level. If you're going to a locals, oh my god, yes, this deck can still do something. It just depends on how meta heavy I think your region might be for said deck, or how hand trap heavy it can be, because honestly, Troll really fucks that deck up like it's its job. I mean, Solemn also does the same thing, but it really depends on what you're trying to do to kind of hinder the deck. Also, my boy DD Crow, shout out to you. He's still a very good card this format. Still do things, especially against this deck. Now, next up, we're going to talk about Luna Control. And this is very interesting because I would not have talked about this otherwise. So 2 to 3 weeks back at, what was it, the Columbus Regional, something strange happened. There was like 500 people in attendance, and lo and behold, Luna Control makes top 8. Now, you're probably asking what's Luna Control. It's basically Mekk-Knights splashed with Fairy Tail Luna. Fairy Tail Luna, on summon, gets the ability to search for a combi of herself. She also has a very unique quick effect. And that quick effect is she gets the ability to target a monster your opponent controls and herself. Your opponent can send a monster of the same name from their extra deck or the main deck to negate that bounce effect. But your whole life purpose is you hand your opponent a kaiju on top of it, something like Kumamungus, Gamma Seal, because most people aren't maining that shit, you know, in today's format. So you just go, oh, herp to derp, bounce back, you know, we did it. You know, the deck is really good for column abuse because you're able to set up and do Mekk-Knight shenanigans while still getting the protection of Fairy Tail Luna. The deck is... we would always see the deck every once in a while in the OCG. Conceptually, I didn't actually think it would ever take off here in the TCG, and I'll be damned, I'm still fucking talking about it in the year 2019, but congratulations, Luna Control. You are a going second masterpiece for what your deck wants to do, and I'm impressed that this deck got the chance to sit down and top a regional, and let alone a fucking 500-man regional. You can consider this to be a flop if you want, because my friend built the deck and took it to locals, went 2-2, but I mean, like, that's depends on the amount of meta that you are playing in said day, but nonetheless, still, you got the chance to sit at the dinner table, and I mean, for that, we thank you. It's fucking really cool. Now, in the same category of Luna Control, I also want to talk about Mekk-Knight Invoked. I know I just talked about Mekk-Knight in the Luna deck, but this deck, I've given the Mekk-Knights a lot of shit, alright? And I will probably continue to give them a lot of shit, but let's be honest here for a second. At the way that the format is going, we literally noticed that Mekk-Knight just got power crept so far out of today's format that it's actually been pretty interesting, to say the least. I definitely think, for the most part, that if people don't play around it, you're going to be in a good position. Purgatrio is still really good for OTKs, and we definitely seen coming out of top 32 at the last Argentina regional, nobody's going to really care about that, but did show that, hey, Mekk-Knight Invoked is still here. Column abuse is still really good, and I mean, in a format where everybody wants to go first, if you kind of got that ace up your sleeve and you're kind of like, I'm going to go second, like, or you know, you blind second all day, your opponent's probably be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, and just death stare you. I mean, I'm going to be confused too, to be honest with you guys, but you know, call it what it is. I mean, the deck is still good enough to top 32 a regional. Once again, your goal, top 32 a regional. Understand that, please place your cards appropriately on a column. Like, if you play 2 cards in a column and you pass turn and your opponent summons fucking blue against you and gets double searches, you deserve to be punished, alright? Because you didn't play around. You were being sloppy, and there were things like that. You know, if it's like playing around Gores back in the day. I still play around Gores. We always attack with the little monster first. I am not fucking getting RNG'd by my opponent fucking playing a trash-ass Gores in today's format. Alright, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If there's something that you can do that it does not change the amount of play that you were doing within the game, that is just a little thing of placing something in another column, then, you know, avoid it in case that matchup does come up. So, the little things, right? And then next up, last deck for the video, I actually want to talk about Spiral. So, Spiral has become so cheap and affordable at this point that it's actually kind of ridiculous. I honestly think that you could probably pick up the actual core main deck for really cheap actually right now. Now, that's not saying that, hey, you know, should we invest all of our life savings into the Danger Engine? No, that's not what I'm saying right now. What I'm saying is, deck is cheap enough. We sold the deck top a little bit. All right, like, I'm gonna count two variants, one Danger, one regular that came out of regionals, and it did something. Now, here's my problem with this. All right, so granted, the deck loses to any hand trap ever, but you know what? You got balls. You decided to play Spiral, and if you go a whole day without being hand trapped, you can probably get your invite. You know what? You're gonna fucking top that regional if every fucking person you play doesn't open a hand trap, because you just kind of nut and, you know, like, ugh. here's my board, go. Like, I enjoy barfing on the table and just making my board. But if your opponent has one hand trap, it's the most fragile of all of the decks in the game right now. It's actually kind of scary, actually, to say that. Like, it's an interesting one. But I will say, for about 95% of the format, that, hey, you know, what it's worth, actually not too damn bad for a deck that, you know, is as cheap as it actually is. So, guys, what do you think about these decks? Do you think this is pretty accurate representation? As I said, I got Necros, I got Paleo, I got Pendulum Magician, I got Speed Duels. Speed Duels on the mind. You know, there's a lot of things I want to talk about. Please, so comment down below, tell me what you guys think. Show some love on this video as well. And, well, guys, Big Papa Robbie's out. Peace. Poor body pillow. Poor guy. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out VanCole40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.